I still wasn't sure when I started it. I liked it. All these people were so enthused about it. I didn't know why they were interested in it. This friend, Terry, she and I turned 60 this past year. So for our 60th birthdays, we decided we'd do an art workshop. She found this encaustic one. It grew on me, and then we came back, and the one image I'd done that I liked best at the workshop had some birds in it. And so I just decided to do a series on birds, and I really enjoyed it. Until I started this series, I wasn't aware that birds have always been special in my life. It was winter, and I was sitting in my sunroom, and I had a great life, and I traveled, and I did my art, I had friends, I had plenty of money. I lived frugally, but I had everything I needed. And a little finch flew into the glass door and was stunned and on the deck. And I held her in my hand and warmed her up, and she eventually went outside and flew away. And somehow I just felt then that I had to bring more living things into my life, into my immediate life. And so that, I think, started the whole process. I described it in the book as bungee jumping, that you're just terrified and then you jump. At some point I had a really comfortable life, but for me, I felt something lacking and I wanted more. The experience of having a family was what I wanted.
No, she was wearing them.
What? Are you reading them?
If not, I'll kill her for them.
Not really. Right.
They're my Nikes.
Why did she wear them? Did you take them off?
Why did you loan them to her?
I just assumed, like many women, I'd get married and have kids. And then when I reached 40 and wasn't married, I kind of gave up on the idea of having children. And then I thought, well, that's crazy. If I want children, I'll figure out a way. And a friend of mine sent me an article about adopting from China. And she said she and her husband were thinking about it. And they had 2 children. And I thought, well, why are they going to have another child? And then I thought, well, I can do it. Then I decided I want a second child. When I went to Vietnam, I was wanting to get an older child because of my age, and it just happened that I ended up with an infant, which was not my plan, but that's what happened. Vietnam, it has often to do with just cases of poverty. In my daughter's case, it was a teenage mother, which would be a shame to the village. A poor family, which at that time in Vietnam might mean really poor. She had a stepfather who didn't want to deal with this child, and so she gave up the child, which was legal to do there, and she gave birth and turned the child over to an orphanage. There's a friend of mine, and we dated years ago, and then we became friends after we stopped dating. And he's become a father figure to them, and I think that's very important. I think it's hard not to have some male figure. I've often said I'd rather they have no father than, say, a father who's neglectful or abusive or never there, has abandoned them. But I think it's very good that they have a male figure in their lives.
Well, Dad's Wayne, Helen, and me, and I was really little back then.
I've always been concerned about the line that crosses from emotional to sentimentality. And I think having children has allowed me to accept that it's okay to show emotion. I think with some of my birds now, some of them are whimsical, but when I do the birds, I like it if there's a sweetness about them. And I think possibly 20 years ago I would have worried about that. I think when you're around children, you just accept that it's okay to say certain things that you wouldn't have said before. It makes you very vulnerable, which is probably a good thing. It takes away your sense of egotism. When you say, my child in the grocery store would never act like that, and then your child does act like that, and you become less judgmental toward other people. You get a job, you don't like it, you quit. You go to another country, you move, you get a child, and there is no turning back. In both cases, I just had this strong feeling that I ended up with the children I was supposed to get. So, I don't want to say their life is better here. I think what makes it better is they have a family.